The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding in this case is a football. Boom! Eat my goal! The goalie has got football pie all over his shirt.
Welcome to this episode of the Down the Pub podcast, brought to you by Molson Coors. Thank you so much to our new sponsors. We've hit the big time, Gary. What's going on, huh?
It's all down to you and your marketing savvy. I played no part in getting this deal over the line. It was you and your negotiating skills.
It's only taken me like 3 years to get a fucking sponsor for the show. Wait, I'll see if we can hear this.
That sounded fantastic.
It was actually International Beer Day on Thursday or Friday, and John Taffer did a video on how to pour a beer properly.
Am I supposed to know who that is?
John? Oh, he's the guy from. You ever watch Bar Rescue?
Nah.
Oh, geez, man, you gotta watch it. It's the greatest show. He's like the Gordon Ramsay of the bar world. It's amazing.
Oh, okay.
So he said none of this kind of slow stuff. He's like, just get it into the glass. So. Let's see if he's
whack it in.
Yeah,
that goes against everything I'd ever been taught.
Yeah,
though.
me too.
I was taught like slow and steady.
Yeah. So
class.
He said that's the way to do it. Yeah. So this month's beer of the month is Heineken. So our friends at Molson have given us some Heineken. I guess they make Strongbow as well. So and Heineken 0.0. So. Product placement thing here before we get into it. On Saturday, I went out to watch the mighty Tottenham win. So I had a couple of just Diet Pepsis because I was doing stuff with the boys. So I was like, I'm not gonna go and get slammed at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then I came home and I actually had a 0.0 watching the game, and it's actually like normally those alcohol-free beers are fucking terrible. They're always like pissy and whatever. It actually wasn't too bad. It was actually quite refreshing. So that's the plug done. Let's move on to the show. So we've got
I know. Solid job, mate. Solid job.
Thank you.
They're gonna be loving it.
Thank you. But we've got we've got quite a lot to unpack here. So we've got the disaster against York. We've got the happiness of the under-23 win, and then the okayish performance against Ford. So I thought it would be just to go a little bit off tack and start with something a little bit kind of happy. Let's talk about the under-23s first. How did you enjoy the game? Any standout players, and did many show up? Because I didn't get a chance to go because I was watching the lads. So give us your thoughts.
Yes, there seemed to be quite a lot of people in the main stand around me. That I talked about it before we went, like before the first under-23s game, where it was nice to have something without any emotional attachment with it, because I think it's been a bit of a slog watching the first team recently because performances have been so bad. There's like a bad feeling around some of the supporters as well. So it was nice to go to a game where emotionally I didn't have to invest. I didn't really give a shit who won that. Like I wouldn't have minded if the under-23s lost or anything. So yeah, to see them play really, really well against a team who I'm basing this on what people around me were saying, that are apparently one of the best teams in the Quebec League. So to get a result against them was good. Some really good players as well. Like for Wonder, I memorized his name before I came on, but I've forgotten it now. But he was number 18 for Wanderers. He had his socks rolled down, and he was a good player. I wish I could remember his name now. I memorized it earlier.
I fucking wrote a note the last time, man. This isn't good enough.
I know you did. Well, I'll just edit in his name afterwards or something. When I quote tweet this, I'll put his name in. So he was good. Molson are going to be happy about this.
It'll be just you talking and then me just an Irish accent going, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, so he was good. the Quebec team had a striker, number 9. Again, forgotten his name. It was something like Loic Remy, but it wasn't Loic Remy. But he was like playing a level below his actual level. He was like a super physical dribbler. Like you just get it, head down, beat 4 players and have a shot. And he did it all like for 90 minutes as well. He was a real athlete. But with players like that, I'm always wary of what the jump would be like to the professional game, because like you see those sorts of players in youth football, don't you, who are just bigger than everyone else and like bigger athletes as well. And I find sometimes when they do find themselves in a professional game, everyone is like that. All the centre backs are built like that. The full backs are built like athletes. So these things that you can do quite easily in an under 23 game don't translate very well. So but saying that, I would be shocked if he's not playing for Wanderers next season as well.
Yeah, because Fumpa made that point actually himself when he was on the show. He said that, like, when he started playing with the older lads, it was like quite a step up, and it's like you're not as super fast as you were against like when you're the younger lads. So I get the kind of jump thing, and I mean, like, the obviously Amla was a big, like, he came from there, and I think that he found the jump up quite big, because I mean, he was fairly anonymous unfortunately against York. But all in all, like, I mean, like, I think the 2 games that they went off well. I thought I think we felt like, it was good for Robinson and Tabby to get a good run out. I thought, like, I think Robinson played the full 90 again, which was great for him to get some minutes in his legs. And I as you said, it was a lot of fun. I kind of mentioned this before. It's just the fact that there was nothing riding on the game, and it was just nice not to have. There's a bit of negativity around the club right now, around the stadium and stuff like that. And it's just nice just to have that release of, like, just go and have a beer and just watching some football. You know what I mean? Like, it was. I really enjoyed it.
It was nice to meet. It was nice to meet people as well, like people I'd only ever met online. It was nice to meet them face to face and like have conversations with them and stuff. And so that part of it's really good, because I find on like the first team match days, there's obviously so many people there that all these people you interact with online and have private messages with and stuff, like, you never really get the chance to chat to them face to face, other than like maybe a quick hello as you pass them in the beer queue. So it was nice to actually be able to sit down with some people I'd not actually met in person and like just have a chat with them. It was, so that side of it I like. So hopefully the club does more. I don't know if there's any plans to do more of it this season, but you'd hope it will become a fixture like going forward now.
Well, there's rumors now of like an Atlantic League starting and stuff like that, so we might see the under 23s become a fixture in that, kind of like the way Montreal have their youth team in the PLSQ. So fingers crossed that comes to fruition down the road. But it's just, I wonder whether I don't think they can keep on playing at the Wanderers ground. It just seems there was an awful lot of games quite close together, and I don't know if the field can hold up to it, to be perfectly honest. But the
goalmouth's starting to look a bit dug up, isn't it? Like around where the goalkeepers are. I
definitely noticed that at the York game. I kind of definitely looked at, like, in the first half, like, Oxnard's looked a little bit kind of bare boned, and it's like obviously with the weather that we've had too. So I'm with you, man. I hope it continues. Like, doesn't matter where they play it. Like, I'll probably go and catch a few games, because it's nice to see the kind of quality that's out there. And obviously we seem to sign most of our players from PLSQ, so it kind of makes sense for us to play a few friendlies against them, right? So let's get into this York game. This is the one. So Angus McNabb was in town. He's the CEO of York. I was really, really hoping that we would have won, just so I can say, like, fuck you, but it wasn't to be. Like, he sauntered over to the where we were at the back of the patio, and then he like wanted to go up to the kitchen, so brought him up to the kitchen, and he was interacting with people and talking to them. And he's a really good PR man, and he was like handing out scarves to people up there.
Was he on a scouting mission to sign some of our fans? I wanted to sign Block 108, didn't he? Sign the boys and get them over to York.
That's exactly where
for you boys.
That's exactly what he's doing. It's like, it's like you get, free beers and hot dogs with you. Come out and watch York. So, but it was kind of nice. Like, I thought, like, it was a really nice touch that he went up and was kind of shout, because like it's a lot for, like, you wouldn't really see that too in many sports where the opposing CEO pops up to the main support stand. Like, you can just imagine Daniel Levy like popping into the Emirates and hanging out with the Arsenal fans.
Oh my god, yeah.
So yeah, but it was. And it goes to show you, like, as you were taught the Forge thing you did the other day when you were kind of mentioning like how it's a kind of the game here is nicer in that sense that it's more of a community thing, and like obviously like we're rivals with other teams, but there's still that kind of mutual respect thing. So yeah, it was kind of funny seeing them just wandering around like handing out scarves and people taking them, and not one was burnt, which is kind of
cheeky fucker.
I know, right? So I think Derek Martin needs to do that the next time. Go down to that little stand they have behind the goal at York and hand out some scarves. So it was a terrible game again. Like we started slow. We made York look really good when in actual fact they're awful. Like I mean, like they lost again to Valor yesterday. Didn't score again yesterday. Like it's just like I don't know. Where do we start? It was just an awful slow start, wasn't it? Again, like there's something. I think you kind of brought up the last time about how it's like it's in their brains now that there's a panic station put out. But like, how do you explain?
Yeah, it was really, really bad first half. First 20 minutes were dreadful. Really, really poor. I remember, I was thinking about this because I had a feeling you're going to ask me about the slow start again. And I remember something one of my old coaches used to say when I was playing like football as a 16, 17-year-old. And he used to always say aggression, then possession. So like that was what he'd say to us before we went out and played, like aggression, then possession, aggression, then possession. And the whole idea was like your first duel, make sure you win your first duel. Make sure your first action is done with intensity and aggression. Make sure you gain territory. Like it's a game of territories in the opening like 5 minutes, isn't it? Yeah. Both teams are just scrapping to earn the territory to move the line up the pitch. So start with aggression, start with intensity. And then once you've done that, possession. So you've been aggressive, you've won the ball, you've won your duels, and then keep the ball. Like work the ball around the pitch, like make sure everyone gets a touch early doors, keep the ball, aggression, then possession. And I didn't see either of those things when I watched just in that first 20 minutes. Like I watched back the first half earlier and we didn't string more than 3 or 4 passes together in the first half. It was a centre-back got it, maybe played out to a full-back, maybe back to the centre-back, trying a few like long diagonals, a few balls into the channel, but there was no like playing through the lines. There was no like playing short, snappy, fast passes. And we're just lacking in intensity at the start of games. And I don't know the reason for that. Like I'm not in the dressing room before the game seeing what the mood is like. Like, is there a seriousness in that dressing room? Is there an intensity? Is there a focus? Or is it people just kind of relaxed and having a good time and listening to their music? Like, I don't know what goes on in there, but what I do know is so many games, the first 20 minutes, we are not good. And there's a lack of intensity and a lack of aggression. And you allow teams like York, who like, we're better than York. We really are better than York, and we're better than Edmonton as well. But both of those teams came here and for the first like 20 minutes played us off the park, and that shouldn't happen. Like we need to start games with a seriousness and a focus, because like the run we're on at the minute, like our confidence is so fragile. Like I imagine the day after the game, the players are at rock bottom, and then the coaches have to spend the whole week getting them back up again to a level where they're confident enough to think they can win. And then as soon as you concede a goal, or as soon as like the first 10 minutes go by and you've barely strung some passes together, your confidence is dead again. And you see, like, as soon as the first York goal goes in, it gets even worse. And there's a vibe, there's a mood, isn't there? Like in the stadium now, like it's palpable. You can feel something. Like I was saying to Shep during the game, like it felt like something broke on during that York game. Like outside the realms of bad form, or this is not working, that's not working, like more holistically, more broadly, it felt like something broke. And I can't really pinpoint exactly what I mean by that, but it was just a feeling inside the stadium. It was just when that second goal went in, it was just like, all right, yeah, well, this is shit again. Like apathy. And like the last thing anyone at the club wants is an apathetic audience. Like as uncomfortable as I'm sure they've found some of the more vocal anger that's coming from some subsections of the supporters, as uncomfortable as that is, I'm sure they'd prefer that to apathy. And I can only speak like personally, but I felt apathetic that second half, like to the point where like we were just approaching it with humor, like me and my mates who I was standing with, we were just kind of laughing at stuff rather than going. Before I think we'd have gone, fucking hell, this is bad, like being really pissed off about it, but we were just like laughing at it. And like, how shit is that when you're like you're laughing at it and instead of being angry about it? And it all comes from the slow start. It all comes from a lack of intensity at the start of the match, and it just set the tone, didn't it, for what I hope was rock bottom. I really hope that match was rock bottom.
But like the guys you're saying there, like you can totally feel that there's a change in vibe. Like as I said, like I said this a few times, there's people that go to the game and it's a social thing. They have a beer. They're not even really watching the game. They're just hanging out, and it's a day to do something. Like that's great, you know what I mean? But there is obviously like people who go because they watch football and they really want to see a good game and they want to see the Wanderers do well. And with the run that we're on, it's those people I think that are starting to feel it the most, because they're just like, here we go again. Because I mean, like, it's not a cheap day out. It's like, you know, like it's like the beers are expensive. You know, it's the tickets are like 25, 30, depends where you sit. Obviously, your tickets are more expensive than what mine are. So, I mean, it is an expensive day out and put in a bit of food in there and all that kind of stuff. And then when you get that feeling when people aren't trying or they're just not with it, I think that's where a lot of frustration is coming from, where people are just like feeling that like the lads aren't trying. And I don't think that's the case at all. I just think that it's just because of these slow starts, it just looks that way. And I think,
I don't think it's a lack of effort. I really don't think it's that. I mean, it's something deeper. Sorry, go on.
You know, and like just like I saw Stephen Hart's press conference after the Forge game, and he was kind of saying like, you know, like during the week in training, like they're fast pass and they're able to move the ball, but then as soon as the games roll around, everything changes. So you might be right. There's something maybe like we need, because I know that like Rampersat's kind of a quieter guy. Maybe he's not that guy who's going to be in the middle, like you know, come on, you cunt kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like just to kind of, just because they like not everybody's like that, you know. And as you said, like it's that marker of a tackle where, you know, like you kind of just go in and you just show them that you like, you know, welcome to Halifax, you know, take that, you bastard. You know what I mean? And I think we had a tackle like that. It really would have helped. But I did want to bring up the point about, so we signed Amla. So and he, as I mentioned, he looked pretty decent in the under-23 game, but I don't understand like why we're signing players and then just sticking them straight in. I don't like, it's a huge jump up. Like we've kind of mentioned it as like from the semi-pro to professional. And I just feel like they're just being thrown into the Lions den. Like I don't understand, like why not bring them on for like 10-15 minutes, kind of blow them in a little bit, give them a run out, get them used to it, instead of like just sticking them in there. Like if I feel at the moment like we're signing players, like we're panic signing and we're panic there's panic selections, you know what I mean? Like it's like he's a really good guy, like he looks like a good player, but did we need another forward? I don't think we did. Like I mean, like Santos looks like he might have picked up an injury against Forge. Like we're starting to look kind of bare bone at the back, you know what I mean? And it's like, why are we making a signing like that? It's just, I don't know, it's just weird.
I see. It seems like I counted this earlier, but I might have got my numbers wrong. But I think we've got 9 players for 3 attacking positions at the moment. So it looks like we're dropping players left, right, and centre. I don't think we are. I think it's just like the coaching staff are trying to find the perfect mixture of those 3 players. So every week we're kind of trying a new combination of those 3. Like sometimes Daniels is a false 9. Now Amler is like a more traditional 9 who plays with his back to goal, and we're just like trying to figure out which one works. But there's a lot of attackers there. Like you've got someone like Garcia and Ben, who like I can't remember the last time either of them started a game. Like it seems like Salter will normally start, Mwandwe now will normally start as well. So you've got 7 players trying to be that centre forward, which is like, it's a large amount. I think, to be fair, some of that's probably planning for next season. I think if the club were completely honest, like they know, I would say 4 or 5 of those attackers are gone at the end of the season. at least. So they're thinking, okay, well, we need to like blood these other players now and get them used to the environment. So we're just going to have like a large collection of strikers. But you're right. We're looking really short at the back. Gander's gone soon. Santos, hopefully it's not a bad injury, but yeah, we do feel like
Shah is suspended, isn't he?
Is he? Oh,
I think he picked up his fourth yellow against Forge too. So
oh shit! So probably Omar will get a run out at centre back then against Valor. Hopefully Santos is okay, because if not, who's going to play centre back with Omar? Honestly,
what are you doing on Saturday?
Playing centre back for the Halifax Wanderers Football Club.
But I think so. Did you get that sense that we're now at the point where like the playoffs are gone and we're into preparing for next season mode, and the rest of this is just like
100%.
Yeah, I'm totally getting that feeling too. And so I guess the question would be then, like, a lot of people are feeling that, maybe I don't think there's any point in changing manager right now. I just think you're going to pay out a contract. We're not going anywhere anyway. It's not like we're going to get relegated or anything like that, right? I mean, but like, do you think there's going to be a change in the off season? Or because I'm not trying to start this debate again, but I'm like, every time we lose now, there's like a post on the Facebook group, or there's people chirping in on the Twitter post that the club is making about like heart out and all this kind of stuff. And I think I'm not a big fan. Like, I'm not a big fan of that kind of like action, because I mean, at the end of the day, Stephen Hart's still a human being, and we're not talking like Premier League stuff here, but at the same time, obviously results are not going the way they should. So like, what do you think should happen in the off season?
Just first on what you said about like not being a big fan of that, I think everyone kind of needs to remember sometimes that we're not like 14-year-olds who play FIFA then go online and chat shit to people. Like, we're all in our 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. Like, there's a level of respectfulness and a level of decency we need to approach conversations like this, especially like in the discourse online. Like, at the end of the day, like you said, this isn't a Premier League manager on 20 million a year who's completely protected from all this. Like, this is a member of our community who has done an incredible amount for soccer in this province and this country. And I don't think we should be reducing his employment status to a hashtag on Twitter just because people aren't happy with how he's doing his job right now. I don't think that's a decent way of behaving. And I think it reflects badly on all Halifax fans. Like, I don't want us to get a reputation as being this really like pissy fan base who do shit like that. Like, there's absolutely room for a discussion about whether he's the right person going forward. Absolutely. Like, open to those discussions, done respectfully and done in a way where you actually analyze snark on the internet, because like, we should all be better than that to someone who's part of our community and a very nice man. That aside, like, in terms of the conversation over the summer, like, it's getting to the point now where I think that conversation will be happening. If I'm absolutely honest, I don't fully know where I stand on it at the moment. Like, I'm still an optimist at heart, I think, and will always I've used the Arsenal thing before. Like, even to the very end, I was never Wenger out. Even when it got to the point where 99% of Arsenal fans were Wenger out, like, I never got there because I don't know why I never got there, but I always kind of hoped that he would turn it around. And I guess I still feel like that now as well. Like, it's definitely not been good enough on the pitch. 100% it's not been good enough. But like, just on the human level, as a human story, I want him to make it work. So just to like,
I really think that a lot of this is coming down to our player recruitment. As I said, I hate talking about people's abilities and all that kind of stuff, because obviously we're not footballers. We weren't good enough to make it. They obviously are, but like, the players we're bringing in, just like, they're just not good enough, unfortunately. And it's not nice to say, but we're just like, we need to seriously have a look at our recruitment, because it just seems to me that the majority of what we're doing is we're just trying to take players from the PLSQ and hope that they're good enough. And it's like, we've had so many players now that haven't been, that we kind of need to stop maybe using that as an avenue to to find players, like, and maybe there's a reason why we're the only team that's taken the majority of our players. I know other teams have taken like one or two here and there, but like we're taking a big chunk of our players from the PLSQ, and it just seems maybe there's a reason why you do the teams there, and they're closer to the league too. I mean, they've got League One Ontario, and then like right next door is Quebec. So it just
if I think back to the before the season though, and the recruitment we did, like I was on board for all of it. Like so we finished the season 1 point off the playoffs, and we're lacking goals from elsewhere in the team. So we sign what on paper is an excellent young Canadian talent in Aidan Daniels, who was playing at probably a higher level than CPL and putting up good numbers. So, right, if you're looking at that on paper, you go, that's a fantastic signing. Like, he's going to get us 7 to 10 goals this season. That addresses one big need. And then we also add Mohamed Omar, who, again, we're looking at going, shit, he's just been, like, drafted first in the MLS Super Draft. Like, he's highly thought of enough to be the first draft to an MLS team. That's a massive, like...
He was drafted in the fourth round. He went 23rd overall.
In the first round, sorry, yeah. Like, so they're looking at that going, okay, so that's like massive reinforcements in centre midfield and centre defence. Like, we'll have Yao Morelli scoring 15 goals again. Like, all of these things. So I kind of get that recruitment for the start of the season. And then, like you said, we get to the middle of the season, Morelli's out, there's been injuries, and now it's felt a bit like we're just kind of collecting attackers to see who works. Like Sam's come in, Amla's come in, Mwandwe's come in, just because the attack hasn't been working. So we're like, oh, okay, we need a solution now. And in the middle of a season, there's not a lot out there, is there?
No, and that's why you end up like going for players like Amla. Like I think Fumpa was like is an anomaly. I think that's like because he's off the like that's. No, that's just such a left field one, and in fairness, like he's proven to be a really good acquisition because he is a good player. I mean, like I thought he was probably one of our best players against York. He was like, he got the penalty for us, and he was positive, and he seems to be unaffected by the malaise around the place. He's still positive, still does thing and stuff like that. So moving away,
he's going to be really good. He's going to be really, really good for us. Like, especially once he gets like full-time training regularly under his belt and stuff. He's going to be really good for us. So that was a good signing.
You can really see like he's getting into the positions. Like he had a really good chance when he kind of made for himself and he kind of skipped by a couple of players and blasted it over. But you just feel like had he had a preseason with us, like that's going in. You know what I mean? Like you kind of feel like that. And
I think once he scores one for us as well, that goes in. I think he's like rushing things and snapping at shots a bit at the moment. And if once he kind of scores, breaks the duck, I think he'll just like breathe a bit slower in those situations. And because he's a good finisher, you've seen it in Wales. Like he's a very good finisher. So yeah, he'll score a lot of goals for us.
I did want to talk a little bit about just before we move on to Forge. So Gander came off in. Was it like the 30th minute or something? I think he was injured.
Yeah, he was injured, wasn't he?
And then we brought on Corey Bent as a left back. So like that's the kind of stuff that people start worrying about. Yeah, and I know he's played there before. He's played as a wing back and da. But I just like he's not. I don't think he's effective for us. We're like playing there. Like I want him up top, like putting pressure on. Like I mean, having him on the right hand side and him and Fumpa on the left hand side. It would just make every defender kind of shit themselves. you know what I mean? And it's like it's just bizarre. Like it's probably because of like who we didn't have like any other body on the bench to stick on, because I think the only person we had was Kareem Sow, who was like he had a bit of a disaster himself at left back like the last time. But it's just what's happened to Corey? Like he's not starting games. Like he's not being brought on. Like what do you think's going on? Like do you feel like he's on his way out the door? Like or is he still picking up? Is he still have niggly injuries? Like it's boggling my mind, because he is one of our he puts his heart and soul into the game, and like he is an attacking threat. So it's just bizarre to me that he's not being selected.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, I don't know if there's little injuries and stuff. No idea. I had no problem with him coming on as left back. I think what York were doing is they were always leaving Gander as our spare man. So if you like watch that first half, Gander is normally the only pass on because they're kind of man to man all over the pitch with us, and then leaving Gander free because I think York probably thought he's the least creative with the ball at his feet of our players. So, okay, let him be the free man. So I think Bent coming on with that in mind, Bent's like a creative player. He's like technically fairly secure, good passer. So I think the idea was he's going to add some like creativity from the left back position that So or Tabby probably wouldn't. I don't think Tabby was even on the bench actually.
No, he was on bench.
Yeah, so I think that was the thinking there. Like just from an attacking perspective, a creativity perspective, we were going to get more from Bent being the free man who is usually available for a pass. In terms of more broadly, I don't know. I don't really know if he's like. I always try and be conscious of the fact that like the coaches, the players, they're working a 40, 50-hour work week every single week, and we get to see 90 minutes of a 50-hour work week.
Yeah.
And like we kind of base all our analysis and all our judgments of what goes on those 90 minutes where, and it is the most important 90 minutes of the work week, but it's still only 90 minutes from 50 hours. And there's all this other stuff that goes on in training, like in terms of like physical, like their physical level at the time, their mood, like how they're acting around the building, like all of this stuff goes into selecting the team on a Saturday. But we obviously only base it on, okay, what did we see the previous Saturday? And that's how we analyze it, which is fine. Like, what else do we have to work on? Because as a league, and this isn't a club thing, but as a league, it's not the most communicative when it comes to injuries and little things like that. So it's guesswork for us. But yeah, I would like to see a lot more of him. I think the problem is Salter is our biggest goal threat. Mwandwe is our exciting new signing. So where do you play him? Yeah.
It's a head scratcher, but it is what it is. And then just before we move on to forwards, there was one other kind of similar thing. So the news that Basket had been suspended for the York game. What did you make of that? And a lot of people were putting that fourth goal at Oxner's feet. So I just thought we'd bumped all the whole question together with goalkeepers. But what did you think of the suspension and Oxner's performance?
In terms of the suspension, obviously we won't say it out loud, but I think both of us and probably a lot of people listening to this podcast have heard a version of what happened. It is what it is. Like you need to maintain a level of respect to your peers and to your seniors in a football club. And I guess a line was crossed at some point that they felt like they needed to suspend him for. He was back in the squad for the next game, so I imagine it's no drama, all is forgiven. But yeah, it does it amplifies the situation when Oxner is perceived to have made some errors again. A caveat that I always say before we talk about goalkeepers, but I have no idea about the position of goalkeeper. Like I know what looks like a mistake to me, but I'm sure an actual goalkeeper would say to me, no, that's not a mistake because of ABC. And what about the mistakes the centre backs or the centre midfielders made before it? But it did look like Oxner was at fault for a few goals over the past couple of weeks. But then you can't put the Dalhousie goalkeeper in for him instead when Basket's suspended. Like you can't do that. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I just with the fourth goal, he does that a lot when he kind of runs out, like he gets a rush of blood to the head. But as soon as he wasn't able to make that tackle, like he should have just gone back to his goal line. But yeah, like he just wanted to see it out. And even Adam Jenkins in commentary kind of mentioned, he's like Christian, you need to be on your lines. And so I did see that somebody was whether it was online and I was blaming him for the second goal. There's no blame you can give him on that goal. Like that weirdest bounce in the world. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like that was a free goal, and it's just a sign of how unlucky we are right now that like something like that would just come off. Normally that thing is just like shanked into the ground and it's like over the bar and it just happened to hit the bar. So yeah, we're kind of, I feel we're kind of stuck now. Like Oxnard is probably going to be the number one, and like I think after what Basket did, like whatever it was, he's probably not going to be the flavor of the one for a while. So we might see Christian in for a while, and like it is what it is. So yeah, so moving on to the Forge game, which I thought was a much better performance. I think that and you kind of mentioned that like before, that the pressure of the home games and how bad we've been at home was probably lifted off them a little bit, because I thought that they started the game, apart from the goal, but I thought they were really effective. Like Forge played an awful lot of long passes. I thought obviously the heat was a factor too, and Forge didn't look 100% either. I think they were missing maybe Sissoko, but I thought we actually played really well. The lineup was quite different. And this is the thing, this is what I mean, like we were kind of talking about how we're literally just throwing poop at the wall and hoping something sticks, because like Amlo like didn't even make the 18 after starting the game before. It's just bizarre, like the way it's going on. And I think Garcia wasn't even in the 18 either for this one, and I don't think he was injured. So what did you make of the lineup? Because obviously we brought in Kareem Sound, we brought in Tabby, and we kind of switched more to a 5-3-2 than the 3-5-2. So what do you think of the lineup?
I think we've got previous of playing 5-3-2 against Forge. It's something we did in 2019. I think we did it at the Island Games. We definitely did it in 2021. Like it's a bit of a Stephen Hart go-to is when you play Forge, because technically that like their technical level is the best in the league. They keep the ball better than anyone in the league. So you kind of accept that they will play through you quite easily if like you're open. And I think, well, we saw the two home games. We stuck with the system we've been playing with all season, like the 4-1-2-3, and we got absolutely rinsed. Like they played through us like a knife through butter. It was embarrassing at times. So I think probably Stephen Hart pulled rank on Dorado and went, no, I'm not fucking doing that again. Like we're doing what worked for me for 3 years against Forge. And it's like we should remember up until this season, we always gave Forge a good game. Like we were almost a bit of a bogey team for them, I think.
Yeah.
And it was normally because we did that. We went, right, we're going to clog up the central areas of the pitch. We're going to kind of try and spring on the counter attack with wing backs, and that's how we're going to get a result against them. And I completely, like, I was hoping we would play 5 at the back, and mainly because like I've watched a fair bit of Forge this season, and they do the same thing over and over again, which is kind of isolate a fullback, push like 3 or 4 players over there and just overload them repeatedly. Like the 8 or the 6 will filter out to their winger. The 8 will then sprint in between like the centre back and the fullback and attack that space, get a pullback, and they'll score. And Forge, it doesn't matter who Forge play against, like that is one of the biggest principles of play for them, is they just do, it's like a wrestler having a finishing move. Like that's their finishing move, isn't it? Just again and again. So how do you defend that? Like you put an extra man at the back so that space isn't available for them to do it in. And that's what we did. And we looked really solid, I thought. Like I take what you say about the weather, meaning both teams look quite slow and fatigued, which is understandable because it was fucking boiling.
Like 42 on the pitch or something like that was.
Yeah, and it was like 38 with the humidity here yesterday, and I was baking going for a short walk. So it must have been like hell playing that game. So yeah, like just bog it up, like it was like a boring game, wasn't it? Because of the heat. But I think that was the idea, just like make it as congested as possible. Don't let Forge play. Don't let them find them spaces between the centre back and the full back. And yeah, we did it pretty well. We offered a bit going forward as well. I thought the attackers. I thought that was quite an interesting front two, Sam and Mwandwe. I don't think it fully worked, but it couldn't, being the first time they played together as a two as well. But they were both like started quite narrow, then they'd peel to the sides, and I thought Tabby had quite a good game as well, to be honest.
Yeah, like at the start, I thought he looked nervous because this is his first start in quite a while. But once he kind of got into the game, I thought he was really, really good. Like he's Like going forward, I think he is a really good player. Like it definitely gives us something. If you could take Gander's defensive abilities and Tabby's going forward ability and mix it into, you'd have a pretty decent footballer. To be fair,
Yeah. I think he's more of a wing back than a left back.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing with him. I don't think we can trust him fully as a left back yet. But as a wing back, you kind of cede a lot of that defensive responsibility to the left centre back of a 3, so you don't have to worry too much about it.
I think he just has like a rush of blood to the head every now and again. He just kind of like tries to tackle when he doesn't need to. Like so, but that's just like coaching will. Like once you can kind of coach that out with somebody. But I thought as well, like I thought that it was probably one of Pierre Lamotte's probably his best game of the season. I thought he was really
very busy, very busy, especially the first half. I felt like he must have had the most touches out of any player for us. So really busy. Like he like kind of played pissed off, which is something I've never seen from him before. Like he looked a bit pissed off when he was playing, didn't he?
Yeah.
And normally he's like this very sort of tidy, jinky player, like likes a 1-2, likes a bit of tiki-taka, but he was like crunching into a few challenges and getting his foot in and stuff. So I don't know if he just had a bad day but he played well as a result of it. So
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens now when Jeremy comes back. Like if Polisi comes out of the team, or if they put Lamotte, or Lamotte come out of the team, it's gonna be interesting to see what Stephen Hart kind of does. But like I just thought that, like, one of our big problems again this season has been obviously like our lack of goals, and it just seems that like we're now at that stage where people are just snatching at things. Like Sam had, I thought, a really good chance, like especially for somebody with his height in the first half. He had like pretty much a free header, and he put it wide, and then we had a couple of like little half chances like that too, that we just like Fumpa did like another little jinky thing as well, and he blazed it. And then obviously Lamotte hit the crossbar. But yeah, like I thought we gave as good as we got, and it was a nice like little, although we lost, we were all expecting us to lose 6 or 7-0.
Oh, when that first goal went in, I was like, fuck, this could get ugly.
Exactly.
Cricket score levels.
And in fairness, like the guys kind of like stuck with it and like got stuck in. And I thought actually Stephen's substitutions were pretty decent too. I thought that Ryan Robinson was really good when he came on. He was pushing like their fullback back quite a lot. Like I thought he was excellent when he came on. So
I think he's earned himself a start. Like I think so too. He's looked good enough in all his appearances. He was very good in the under-23 games. I think he's earned himself a start now. I think he was always one for the future, but I'd like to see it, to be honest.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Kara Jovanovic. He's got that kind of like that attacking threat that he gives you an option. And I think having him and Fumpa maybe on opposite wings would be kind of interesting to see. But it's like, there's obviously like we kind of talked about like the negativity that's around the club and all that kind of stuff. But there is some like little rays of sunshine. Like, there is some like little sprouts coming through, like Robinson and I feel that Tabby, once he gets going, will be a pretty good player, like Fernandez. So I mean, there is something there. I just think that for the formation that they want to play, they just don't have the players like that can work that system. And I think that we might see another big turnover. Like, I'm surprised we didn't have one last year, but I honestly think that this year because a lot of players just have options. It's just not like people are signing on for contracts. I think there's only like 4 players maybe that are contracted for next year. So I think
I think we can project forward to next season now, and if you squint, it can look positive if you want it to. Yep. Like Morelli's going to be back. He won't be 100% fit until probably early summer, but he'll be back. Mwandwe looks like a really good signing. Salter, I imagine they'll take up on the option. Robinson will be another year older. Fernandez will be another year older. Like the skeleton, I wouldn't even say it's a skeleton yet, but we've got some limbs of a good team in there. Yeah. And it's just going to be a case of, oh my God, it's going to be such a big job. There's going to be so much turnover this summer, though. That's my only concern. It's hard enough getting one signing right, but they're going to have to get like
a lot.
12, 13.
Yeah. And I thought the last time when they did that, they got a lot of them right. Like, I mean, they brought in Sissoko, they brought in Omar Krem. Like, I thought that they brought in
that summer as well.
They brought in like a lot of the right players. I just think that for the last like year and a bit, like we're just trying to add to what we have, and unfortunately, like it's just they just feel like punts that, you know, it's like we'll just take a chance on this guy, like probably give him like the basic contract and hope that like, somebody comes good. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that the other clubs, like when you look at like Cavalry and Forge and Pacific, they tend to have an established player in mind that's going to come in, and you know what I mean. Whereas I feel like we're just kind of taking a punt on people. They just seem to have their scouting system just seems better, and obviously it's for reasons that we know that they have a better scouting system than what we have. But I just feel like that they always just have somebody. This is the conveyor belt that keeps churning them out, you know. So
I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know how the fuck they're getting away. Like, how are they signing these players? And like, again, I genuinely believe there is a rational explanation. But on paper, it's baffling, isn't it?
Oh my god! So
because it already seemed like they were probably pushing the limits of the cap, and then they go and sign Jordan Hamilton.
So that was a question that Steve Steele had for us. Is like how what were our thoughts on Jordan Hamilton actually making it to Forge? And I 100% agree with you. It's like just looking like at the players that were playing on the weekend. I mean, like they had like Ashton Morgan, who's won an MLS Cup. They had Tristan Borges, like who, like they got a big money, a money deal into Europe. Taron Campbell, like the champion last year. Hojibor, who they brought from Pacific. Becker, like these guys, like they're not, they can't be cheap. They're not going to be there like on like basic contracts. So there's something like people keep talking, and I think this is where like the kind of transparency thing comes into it, because like I think it was like last year, the year before, they released like what the basic contracts are and all that kind of stuff, and the top player was paid whatever, but there was just never any mention of like bonuses and stuff like that. I think that's, a lot of people seem to think that's where a lot of this is coming from, that like, you know, like if they qualify for this, that, and the other, you get like a bonus, and I don't think bonuses count as part of the cap. And I think that's like it's just it's crazy to me. Like I mean, like like as you said, like then having the ability to bring in Jordan Hamilton, who's also an MLS Cup winner. Like, you know, he's just come back from Ireland and stuff like that. And I know that there's quite a few people here in Halifax that wanted him to sign here, and I just don't think I don't think it's the type of player that we would sign, and B, like he's obviously from Ontario, so like that's a big pull for people. Like, you know what I mean? If you're from Ontario, like you, and you're a team in Ontario wants you, you're gonna go, right? I mean, that's just.
I think we were in for him. I think we were trying to sign him, but it didn't happen, because, like you said, he's why wouldn't he live close to home to a team that are playing CONCACAF? Like, that's not a difficult decision. He doesn't know how nice it is here and what a wonderful place it is to live. Like, so I think, I'm. So if the cap's let's say 750,000. I can think of maybe 6 or 7 Forge players who you could really make a strong argument for being on at least 65 to 75,000.
Yeah,
like at least 6 or 7. So I don't understand. I don't understand how it's done. I do think it's done legally, because I don't tend to buy into like the conspiracies and stuff. But are they paying like the other half of the squad like 5,000 a year or something? And I have no idea how they're doing it. Well, I'd love to know.
Like people were saying, like, are they getting like fake job somewhere that's gonna get them? So if
do you remember? Sorry, this is a weird anecdote. You know, Kolo Touré.
Yeah.
So when Kolo Touré was playing for Liverpool, he was married, but he had like a dating profile where he pretended he was like a painter and decorator or something, and like because he didn't want the girls to know that he was a professional footballer and go to the newspapers. So he like made up this whole second job where I think he had like a business card and stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm a painter and decorator.
Why did you come up with a painter and decorator? For fuck's sake?
Something I can't remember. The
I'm a
exact
writer.
job,
Yeah. I'm a historian. I'm a professor. Fucking painter and decorator. Jesus Christ. So yeah, like it's definitely baffling, and I think that some sort of transparency on the back of that would be kind of nice, but I'm not expecting but you know, if is it Bob Young, the guy like who owns the Tiger Cats and
yeah,
Forge,
he started following me on Twitter a month or so ago. So
nice.
I could slide into his DMs and go,
yeah.
"All right, Bobby, mate, how the fuck did you pull this off, son?" I won't tell anyone, I promise.
Yeah, so yeah, if you can reach out to your contact, the Bobster,
Yeah,
my
good mate.
The Bob Meister General. Yeah.
Bobby, what's up, mate?
And so there's another comment that we got from Donald Belgium. He said, "I think we should be very careful not to think that the Forge loss was kept to one goal because of anything Wanderers did. Neither team exerted themselves to normal level, which is understandable given the temperatures at field level." So I get where he's coming from. Like we kind of mentioned it there, that I don't think that Forge were playing at 100%. And I always felt they could have kicked it up a gear if they needed to, but I still have to give credit to Stephen Hart for putting the formation out we did, and I think that we did really well in stifling them. And as I mentioned, they were resorting to playing an awful lot of long balls, which really isn't always their game. So yeah, I thought it was a good. I actually thought it was a good performance. Like, it's incredible to me though that we've got 9 forwards and none of them can score fucking goals. Though, can one of you just please, for the love of fucking God, put the ball in the net? Jesus Christ!
You know what, mate? I don't know why, but I feel weirdly good about Saturday. I've just got a good feeling that. And
you said
during our last podcast. No, I didn't. You fucking said it. You fucking said it, not me. I didn't. I was worried about that game. But I feel weirdly good about Valour. I just feel like it's got as bad as it can possibly get, and I think the pressure is off now. Like we're like, let's be honest. I know the coaches have got to say we're still in with a chance for the playoffs, but we're not. Like we're definitely not.
We're done.
There's how many games left? 10 games, and we're 11 points off it. Like, yeah, it's done. So hopefully the players can relax a bit and just win a home game. Like everyone needs it so much.
I can't go to this. I've got I'll get my wisdom teeth out on Friday, so I won't be in. Yeah, I know. I'm not looking forward to it. So yeah, so I'll be at home.
That's a bit late in life to get them out, isn't it?
Yeah,
I thought that was like when you're 16 or something normally.
So I want to get braces. I want to get my teeth straightened. So because I've got Irish teeth that are all over the shop.
Mate, curse to the British and the Irish.
Yeah,
shit teeth.
Shit
in bed, shit teeth.
So yeah. So to get the braces, I have to get them removed. And as I'm getting older, like I don't want to be like gummy when I'm like 55. My teeth are falling out, so I'm trying to do all I can to keep them. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm gonna have a weekend of eating jelly and ice cream. So it's gonna be fun. So and soup probably.
Are you getting it done on Saturday or on the Friday?
On the Friday, so
you'll probably be out of it and groggy all day Saturday then.
Yeah, I'm hoping anyway. You know, like even I'm just gonna like take some drugs myself at home just to to get me through it. So yeah, so it's I won't be there, but I will be cheering on from home, and I'm really hoping that the lads live up to your hopes and dreams there and actually put out performance. Just before I go, I did want to just mention. So I don't know if you saw Ottawa yesterday. Like they had like nearly 7,000 fans. I think at their game yesterday. Yeah,
good for them.
Christian Jack had mentioned it, and that was in the middle of a monsoon as well. Like it started like the heavens opened, and then the game was delayed for 40 minutes. But one of the things I really liked is Drew Becky, who's obviously their captain. He came out after they lost to Forge 4-0 at home, and was like, apologized for the performance and said that, we're still a work in progress, but where we are compared to where we were 12 months ago is huge. And he came out again after the game yesterday and was thanking the 7,000 fans that came out and stuff. And I really think they're building something quite awesome in Ottawa. Like the fan group there is like really vocal and active. But my question is, do you think that we should have done something like that after because like after the York game was radio silence. Like there was nothing really that came out. Just addressing the slide that we're on, the poor performances and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just been, it feels almost like business as normal, and it's like, wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody at the club just come out and just do a little video like that saying like, hey, we really appreciate the fans, and so, I don't know.
Maybe some fans want that. Like personally, for me, I'm incredibly cynical about anything like that. Like when stuff like that happens, I'm just like, fuck off. Like just
I know.
Like,
you're in Canada though, man. It's a different vibe. Yeah.
I know there is, but I can't separate that from like, I know you don't mean that. Like when someone says like stuff like that, I'm like, you don't mean that. Someone's told you to say that, or like you'd think that will get a good reaction. Like deep down, I would rather they just shut the fuck up and win, to be honest. But I know you're right. Like I know you're right. We're in Canada, and maybe people want more communication like that, and maybe people feel like it comes from a more sincere place, which maybe it does. Maybe I'm just being overly cynical, but for me, like personally, I don't care for stuff like that. Yeah. But I feel like there's such a big culture of apology around football now. Like when fucking players miss penalties and they write Instagram posts apologizing for missing penalties and stuff, it's like, shut the fuck up and play football.
That pissed me off. Something that actually, I think is it Ajax? Ajax have banned people from bringing those fucking signs in now. Can I have your shirt?
Oh, I hate that shit.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a new section of the show, Cynical Corner, where Gary,
I could just reel off five straight away if you want. Right, people who pretend to hate pineapple on a pizza, that would be my number one person. They don't actually care about pineapple anyway. Yeah, I'm not going to go.
I have pineapple on my pizza.
Exactly, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. No one should be that angry about pineapple on pizza.
I know.
It's just people who have like some vague Italian ancestry and want to prove to people that they've got some vague Italian ancestry, so they go big on. Anyway, next one: inspirational sports quotes.
Fucking hate them. Fucking and most of them are bollocks too. Like I feel like the person that even fucking said them, but it's just been attributed.
Exactly.
It's like I don't think LeBron James is that fucking deep, to be perfectly honest with you. Right? So I do have to get we do have a thing that we need to do like every game. So who is your Heineken man of the match for the York game? Do you like that? Your Heineken man of the match for the York game.
For the York game, Block 108, because they never stopped and what was on the pitch was absolute dog shit. So Block 108 is my Heineken man of the match for the York game.
Do you know what? I was actually going to say the same thing, not just Block 108, but I was going to say every fan that stayed for the full 90 minutes and just put up with it. Because like there were Nico Giansopoulos, like he's been on the show before, and we kind of we talked to him and stuff like that, and he just loves getting chirped by the Halifax fans, and he was getting a pretty rough ride from the fans was behind the goal and stuff like that, and just seeing his
so funny though. He's so funny, that bloke kills me.
He's amazing for the league, but he laps it up. But seeing his smug face afterwards, after like just really fucking hurt me. So anyway, yeah. So mine's you said Block 108, but I'm going to say that every single fan that actually stayed for the full 90 and watched that atrocious nightmare. So your Heineken man of the match for I'm doing this.
I love it.
For the Forge game.
My Heineken man of the match for the Forge game is, I'm going to give it Tabby. I don't think he was the best player on the pitch by any means, but just in terms of the level he was at, probably the lack of confidence he had going into that match, to look like a 7 out of 10 player, I think he's my Heineken man of the match for that reason.
I'm going to give it to Pierre Lamotte. I think that he had an excellent game. As you said, he just seemed to have brought a different type of game that I don't think we've seen from him. That kind of, he was kind of putting it about, and his free kick was actually quite decent too. Just seeing, like, honestly, like, I don't understand like how teams just don't pepper Forge's goal with shots. It doesn't matter where you're from, because Tristan Henry just has these moments. Like he thought that shot was going over because he went like this
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't see we're on a podcast, but he put his hands up to kind of go like it's going over, and then like a can back off the crossbar. So
you know what he reminds me of, like in old school football, and I guess it still happens sometimes when like all the subs have been made and the goalkeeper gets sent off and like the centre back goes in goal. He reminds me of that because he's really, really good with the ball. He's really good with the ball at his feet. But sometimes you look at him trying to make a save and it just doesn't look like a goalkeeper, does he? He's like flapping in a weird way. And
he's John O'Shea.
Yeah.
So man, it's been great hanging out. It was kind of nice. I was glad that we didn't do a show right after the York game because I think it would have been just depressing. And it was nice that there was some good news with the u23s and a somewhat decent performance against Forge to kind of lighten our moods a little bit. So I really appreciate you hanging out. Thanks again to our sponsors, Molson Coors. You guys are amazing, and your product. I don't really want to try any other ones. Just keep sending me Heineken, and I think I'd be pretty happy, to be honest with you.
Might want to send me some as well, Heineken.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've got like a regular down there. Don't worry, buddy. I'll hook you up. Look in future. Look out. We're going to do some giveaways and hopefully have some swag to give away and stuff for that. And yeah, it's just nice that we're actually making the big time and having people come on board. So
it's what you get when you're the #1 soccer podcast in Cambodia. People listen.
I think that's what
the sponsors listen.
Heineken is huge in Cambodia, so I think the people,
so are we.
I think the people just read this is what they want. But yeah, so I also want to thank you for not mentioning Down the Pub whatsoever on the thing you did with Forge. That was awesome.
All right, mate.
My favorite part was when you went. The guy's like, so where can we find you? And I was like, oh, my Twitter. I've got the blog from aways.com. And then you're like, oh, I forgot. And I was like, here it is. And my Instagram. I was like, fucking wanker.
Sorry,
but honestly, though, it was a great job. You really sold the city well on that, man. And
cheers.
Proud of you, buddy. All right, so
can I thank you for something as well?
Sure.
Can I thank you for 20 minutes before we were going to record last night for messaging me saying I'm too pissed. I'm sorry. I've been on the booze all day. Can you do it tomorrow?
So it was actually my mates, mum and dad were in town from Liverpool, and last night was like their last night. So I was like, you know what? I'll have a Guinness or two and a couple of Heinekens. So I was like, just to kind of say goodbye. And I was like, I'm not going to get hammered, blah, 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 blah. And then it was so nice that we were sitting on the patio at Nelly's. I was like, I'll have one more. And then I'll have one more. And then I was supposed to be home in time to help out with putting the kids to bed. And I turned it. I wasn't here. So yeah, I was in the bad books with the wife. I neglected my podcast. It was just, I think I've got a drinking problem.
That's why you're on the 0% tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thanks, Milgar. So probably we'll talk after Valor. Have fun at the game, and come on, you Wanderers.
See you later, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Bye.
Folks, please. Right foot, please. Time to drink up, folks. Get out.